But Sophocles once said that sons are the anchors of a mother's life, and that seems to be very true for you.
Don't know what my parents or my grandparents are talking about it, but trust me, further down the road, it will come back and you'll say, I remember my grandparents telling me that. I remember my parents telling me that.
Bringing all our residential standards across the country up to a level that we can be proud of.
Welcome to Elder Wisdom Stories from the Green Bench. My name is Kathy Buckworth, and as always, I have the pleasure of sharing my bench with my co-host, Evelyn Brindle, who lives at the village of Erin Meadows in Mississauga, just one of Schlegel Village's long-term care and retirement homes, along with her husband, David. Good morning, Evelyn.
Good morning, Kathy. Hope you're doing well today.
I am doing well today, and I'm very excited about our show today, and we're going to get into why I'm so excited about that, because, of course, every episode we bring stories of great wisdom from our wonderful guests, and our guest today has a pretty cool story.
Yes, he does. Some very interesting hobbies that he's been involved with. Genealogy, which is a pretty good topic, ham radio, and also learning Morse code.
So we're talking about John Hofstee, and he traced back his roots a long, long way. Now, I have done ancestry.ca and found out that I'm 99% English and 1% Norwegian. But my dad swears that he's done family charts back to an Earl in Henry VIII's court. I think he's lying. Evelyn, have you ever traced back your roots?
I haven't. It was on my agenda, but my brother's been very involved in it, in giving me a lot of the family background, which has been very interesting. Rather more difficult, though, to find because a lot of the records going back years back in Poland are difficult. A lot of it was destroyed during the World Wars, and he's gone through quite a few different avenues. In fact, going back to some of the small towns to trace it through the churches or other records that he was able to find. So it's been very interesting. I learned quite a bit about it and some unusual facts as well, involving names that have been passed down for each generation, and having a lot of fun learning about the family.
And speaking of family, Evelyn, I think one of your younger generations just accomplished something pretty impressive. Tell us.
Yeah, this morning I got the news that Jack, my grandson, who's 20, and is on the Team Hawaii right now in a paddling competition for the World Championships. And at the last minute, his team pulled out number one. So they're now the world champions. And
Wow.
yeah.
That's pretty impressive to put on the family tree.
Oh, yes, it is. It's something that he really loves doing and has been working very hard at it the last couple of years, particularly. And
Congratulations. That's amazing.
yeah, I'll pass that on.
And we have our guest, John Hofstee, standing by to tell us all about his impressive accomplishments. Good morning, John.
Good morning, John.
Good morning, Evelyn. Good morning, Kathy.
John, I understand you're joining us from the village of Riverside Glen in Guelph.
Correct.
But before, obviously, you got there, you had a pretty storied history. And you're going to tell us a little bit about that today.
Well, okay. To go back to my birth, I was born in the Netherlands in a village very close to Rotterdam. And eventually I went to high school for 3 years in Rotterdam before we immigrated to Canada in 1951. So in 1951, I started with English as my first language, and I'm pretty fluent in it. I have no problem, and not much of an accent. I take it, but yeah, we first settled in St. Thomas, and then 1953 I joined the bank, and anyway. There's a number of interludes, but in 1966 I became a high school teacher, and I remained that until 1994 when I retired from full-time work. But I continued for another 15 or so years as a fill-in
Oh, wow.
whenever required. So, and since then, I've been busy with this and that and the other thing, using my computer skills and leadership skills in some other involvements.
So,
Okay, back to you, Kathy.
as a teacher and also as someone who worked in banking, I understand you've written articles in both English and Dutch about banking for immigrants. Wonderful topic.
Yes, I did, and I've written some genealogy articles as well, but in both languages.
It's great. You've kept up with your roots there as far as the language goes. And I'm sure you've been involved with a number of traditions as well. Or have you with the family keeping that up?
Well, a little bit, not really all that much, because the Dutch immigrants kind of slow down on most of that, but yeah, there's still some of that. And just for interest's sake, you were talking about keeping up my Dutch, and I do. Every week I talk to my aunt. Hey, hey, hey.
Your
But
aunt. Wow.
she's only 3 years older than me, so we're we can share experiences. Much she does much the same in the Netherlands as I do here.
Family is very important to you, I think. John, tell us a little bit about your own family.
Yeah, my own family. My wife was also a Dutch immigrant, and we married, but she passed away in 2008. So there's been a number of years. We had 4 children, 2 girls and 2 boys, and they're spread out. Well, first of all, my youngest son died 4 years ago, but my oldest daughter lives in the Detroit area. My second daughter lives in near Cambridge in England. My son is here. My first son is here in town, and the son who died lived in Florida, where his widow still is, and he had 3 children as well. And I'm in constant touch with those people as well.
I have a daughter who lives in Cambridge also, but Cambridge, Ontario. So not quite. And she's the mom of my 3 grandkids, but you have 10 grandkids, I think.
Yes, I have 10 grandchildren, and there are six or seven of them, 6 of them married now.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, we watched a marriage just a month ago, exactly a month ago, a marriage in Orlando, Florida, which I was able to watch on Zoom.
Oh, great.
Very nice. Yeah, weddings are really something special, bringing the families together. My
Right.
granddaughter just got married a couple of weeks ago, so it was great seeing family we haven't seen for years, and I'm sure you felt that too.
Yeah, well, I am not traveling much anymore. I've done a lot of traveling in my life, lots of vacation trips, but it's a little too difficult now.
Well, you travel through time on paper and online, I know, John, because you have traced your family roots back 60 years. So how did this start? How did you get so interested and involved in tracing back your roots?
Actually, my brother did most of the work. I did a lot of it myself too, but I kind of coordinated it and put it together. But yeah, we both, my brother and I, we both had the interest in the genealogy, and so we had a visitor over from the Netherlands in 1978, and she told us something about the family, and then we found a clue. I don't know if people who do genealogy can do most of it from their home these days or from their home city, because the Mormon Church, the Church of Latter-day Saints, has copied many records from all over the world, which you can access now online, or they had films. So, but yeah, we did that. I've been to Salt Lake City to work in the library. My brother was there a few times, but between us, we were able to do that. And now we reached the point. My brother has since died, but we're at the point where it's very rarely that we find anything new. Sometimes somebody publishes something that ties in, but I'm kind of am out of that hobby now, except for sharing it with my children and my nephews and nieces.
What a great legacy to leave for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was surprised to learn, though, that the Mormons keep all those records locked behind 14-ton doors in the Granite Mountain Records Vault, which is strong enough to survive a nuclear impact.
Yeah, that is correct. But they've made numerous copies, microfilmed it, and that's where
Mhm.
we looked at. And now they've most of that ancestry is owned by the Mormon Church, and of course that's all available online now.
Was there anything interesting or unusual that you found out about the family, other than, of course, the going back to the Holy Roman Empire, which was quite outstanding in itself? But anything in the closer generations that you may have learned about the family that you weren't aware of?
Well, we pretty well knew what the family had done, but yeah, we have the last couple of 100 years, we've pretty well got 100% of it, and so in my part of the genealogy, we have two types of records. One is the families with the Hofstee name, and its variations, as well as a pedigree, which sounds like prime cattle. One person, two parents, four grandparents, eight great grandparents, 16, 32, 64. Never mind, I won't go on.
That's always very, very interesting when you learn something new about the you didn't weren't aware of way back then.
Yep,
One of your other interests, apart from genealogy, has been the ham radio, and you
right.
were doing that for 30 years.
Yes. It's kind of funny. I had a lifelong interest in that. Well, not lifelong, but from my early teenage years, because I have a little notebook from 1948 or something, and I had already recorded the uh, both the genealogy close by and the Morse code, which I was going to need for ham radio. So my interest started very early, but I had a colleague that was involved, and he got me really started. And eventually, I passed the necessary exams to be able to go on the air, and made contact with many countries, and first by Morse code, and after a couple of years, I improved my license so that I could do audio as well.
You spoke to people in every single state in the US, is that right?
Yes,
That's amazing.
yeah, yeah. Once upon a time, I had a certificate to prove it.
That's cool. We believe you. We believe you without the certificate, John.
Good, good. Right, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was so complicated and required so much education in order to do
Well, yeah.
this.
Well, I was teaching computers and computer electronics, and the electronics I had learned in order to pass the exams for the ham radio because you had to do electronics there too.
So, John, when you contacted all of these people, not just in the US, but all over the world, what did you talk about?
All the weather,
Mhm.
hobbies. Sometimes the contacts were very short, just exchange basic information like signal strengths and the location of your hometown. And so,
That's pretty
and,
cool.
yeah, so uh, I'm still interested in location because I can spot latitude and longitude. I have it still for lots of places.
When you were making contact with people, did you ever find anyone that you actually knew before, or were they all new people?
Uh, well, uh, mostly new people, but
Mhm.
there were a few fellows that I met here in town or here in Canada, in Ontario after. And then when I visited Europe, I visited some hams there as well.
You're good at staying in touch. I understand you're still in touch with some of your high school friends and have helped organize reunions. Is that right?
That is correct.
And where have those reunions taken place?
In the Netherlands,
Hmm.
usually at the home of one of the classmates.
Oh, that's when was the last one you had, John?
The last one I attended, in 2018, I had a meeting with a few of them because I missed the major one, but uh, somewhere 2015 or something that I actually attended one of them.
Well, I have a high school reunion in Winnipeg that I'm not going to attend because it's not quite as exciting as Amsterdam or the Netherlands, I should say. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Yeah, we. I usually made it. We made a visit to the Netherlands and traveling, and just made sure that on the day of the reunion, I was at the at that I was at the reunion.
Great. It's always fun going back and just seeing your classmates after all those years, the
Yep.
changes and reconnecting with some people, which is always a fun incident. Uh, I know you were a high school teacher in business, but you came about that rather late in your life. You went back to school to get your Bachelor of Arts degree when you were in your 40s, I understand. Uh, how did you manage to find that? Did you, being in the older one in a classroom of young people, or was that ever any difficulty or problem
I,
for you?
no, actually, I got to correct that because the my degree was totally done by extension, so it
Oh,
was nights, Saturdays, summer holidays, and all that. So yeah.
that that was quite an accomplishment just trying to do it that way.
Oh well, yeah. Thank you to my wife who had to put up with me being busy many times. But yeah, I started teaching when I was 30. I came out of business as as a special entry to share my business experience with students. And then I had to sign up that I was going to get my BA, and that took about 15 years to get. Like I said, Saturdays, holidays,
Right.
weekends, and then and that's it. But yeah, so
Yeah, that's living, right? Trying to
yep.
keep going to work and providing for the family and doing that and getting it's quite an accomplishment, as I mentioned. Did any of that inspire your children to go on to school or university?
Well, yeah, they've all got the degrees and. So my children, and there's a history as to why education was important, and my brothers too uh, were interested and did get degrees or positions of responsibility with a lot of academics behind it. So, yeah,
Now, your grandfather, I understand, wasn't too encouraging for your dad to go to school
that's right.
because of the times. So,
Yeah, and that's why my mother much the same way. So my dad and mom were very much interested in making sure that their children got the opportunity to go on to high school and beyond high school.
you seem to be very pro education. So,
Yes.
why do you think it's so important to share the opinions that you have with everyone else?
I may be a little bit opinionated, but yeah. So I think that I have a responsibility uh, because I am educated and all that, that I make people aware and try to get them involved in some of my causes too.
Get involved in things I understand there at Riverside Glen, including reading to a young lady there who's 104 years old.
Right. Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's something I can do that does not take much effort, and she appreciates it. That we belong to the same church, so church stuff is the main things that I read to her. But yeah, I am involved, and they got me involved here too. The kinesiologist or whatever she was a couple of years ago said, John, I want you to lead some classes, some exercise classes. And I thought she was kidding, but she meant it. So I did that until I had some health problems and had to give it up.
It's one thing that I found here at Erin Meadows that's really been a very good thing is the involvement in the social context that we have with other people who are here. It sounds like you're found the same kind of situation there at Riverside Glen.
True. Very,
Yeah.
very, very true.
You also mentioned about traveling a lot. I guess you've been in quite a few places around the world, especially there back in Netherlands. And I know one of the things that always pops up when any time everyone talks about the Netherlands are the tulips. Uh, have you been there to see the Tulip Festival in the Netherlands or here in Ottawa?
No, well, I've been to Ottawa, but not the tulip time in the Netherlands, because the tulip time there is from about the 1st of April to the 15th of May. And of course, when you're teaching, you are not able to travel in during that time. But after I've been, when I was still in high school, we had Easter vacation, and a bunch of my classmates and we went on our bicycles on a tour through the tulip
Oh,
fields.
great. There's so many of them now in Ottawa, and mostly from the donations that the Netherlands have sent them as a thank you for the ones during the World War II for liberating them, and also another group of over 1 million tulips that are an orange crown shape. Uh, Celebrating the birth of Princess Margaret, the only royal person who's ever been born in Canada. So, yeah. And they keep sending 20,000 of them every year. So they keep growing. Yeah, it must be a beautiful, I haven't had that opportunity, but it's a beautiful thing to see in either country, here or in the Netherlands. So,
Right, right, yeah. And I did visit Ottawa just before Victoria Day, so the end of May, the middle of May, and it was there was still quite a few on in good color.
One of the great traditions, of course, in Holland is the wearing of clogs. And when I was there the last time, I went to Zanzerchans. I'm probably saying it wrong, but Zanzerchans, where they have a lot of windmills, of course, and they do a lot of things. And we saw them carve out wooden clogs. And I was surprised to learn that he said that pretty much every Dutch household still has a pair of clogs in it.
Ha ha ha! I have a picture on my door where I'm about 10 years old and wearing clogs.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, and he said they wear them because I guess they're great for, it's quite watery, swampy in some parts, and they're great. They sort of float and they keep the water out. I never thought of people wearing them as actual shoes, not just being souvenir type shoes.
No, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. The Dutch toko here sells the souvenir type,
Hmm.
but yeah, I, farmers and market gardeners kind of wear them because they keep your feet better than than shoes or
So,
boots.
John, one of the things we obviously try to do on this podcast, because it is called, Stories from the Green Bench, Elder Wisdom, is to have our interviewees share some wisdom with us. And it sounds like you have a lot. So if you have any words of advice for our listeners, young and old, let's start there. Where would you start?
Well, the thing I decided, and it was published, that I was going to participate in the activities of the home, and especially the physical activities like exercise groups to keep that up. But yeah, uh, the thing is get involved and keep yourself busy, and if you can, join organizations that further your goals, and that where you can where you can learn and also contribute to it. So yeah, like I said, I took part in most of the physical activities, the exercise groups, and because I was able to at the time, I was asked to lead some of those, and my health is a little better now. And I jumped in the other day when one of the people here was way late, so I got started.
Oh, that's amazing. My 86-year-old mom just started playing pickleball last week. So there you go.
Okay, good.
What types of activities are you involved in at Schlegel, John? Are there groups that you belong to or things that you do in particular there?
No, mainly I do the physical activities and try to do some of that every day. And yeah, there's been a few other little things, but nothing major. But I work, and one of the staff members got me interested. We were going to do some work on photography. So yeah, that did not get into my bio, but yeah, I had a photography hobby all my life long too. Well, I participate on some of my interests, but yeah, I have because I also taught computers and I had involved, so I've been involved with computers since 1975, early laptop computers, or not laptop, desktop computers. So yeah, uh, I have a good understanding of some of the things that I can do to help people get organized or to get their computer to do what they want.
Oh, that's great. I'm going to impose on you to say, can you teach us some of the NATO phonetic alphabet? I understand you know that.
Uh, Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, but don't ask me the rest. I haven't used it in so long, but yeah, that of course it's my call was Victor Echo 3 India Zulu Hotel. So VE3IZH. Victor Echo 3 for Ontario, India Zulu Hotel. And VE is Canada, and with some variations possible. But yeah, so yeah, my friends. But that's about the only time that I still use the phonetic alphabet.
So Morse code, ham radio, Dutch, the NATO phonetic. You can communicate with people in many ways. It sounds like, John.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you are a great communicator, and we have certainly enjoyed communicating with you today, John. I want to thank you for joining us on the Green Bench today. It's been a real pleasure.
Okay, was glad to do it. So
Good meeting you, John.
nice to hear you too, Evelyn.
On behalf of my co-host, Evelyn Brindle, I'd like to thank you for giving us the chance to bringing you these stories of elder wisdom. We'd love to have you subscribe to the podcast if you're listening right now, if you haven't already done so. But we'd also love to hear your words of wisdom on social media. Please do using the hashtag #ElderWisdom, which will also help others to find us on this green bench. We do love a review and a rating on the podcast. You can easily find it by going to elderwisdom.ca and following the link. Take a look at the Elder Wisdom Pledge Against Ageism while you're there, and please think about signing it. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Kathy Buckworth, and along with Evelyn Brindle, we look forward to sharing some more elder wisdom with you on the next episode of Stories from the Green Bench.
Elder Wisdom, Stories from the Green Bench, is brought to you by Schlegel Villages, a complete continuum of care, offering independent living to long-term care, celebrating and honoring the wisdom of the elder. To learn more about us, please go to our website, schlegelvillages.com.